Welcome to the Soul Driven Podcast. I believe that when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. If you are searching for meaning and purpose, if you are unsure about how to combine the spiritual with the everyday, if you are ready to uncover who you truly are, then you've come to the right place. The Soul Driven Podcast is dedicated to exploring the intersection of living a soulful and spiritual life in a driven and ambitious world. Join me for practical guidance, truthful discussions, and interviews with people who are successfully living a soul-driven life. My name is Anna Hendricks, spiritual guide, marketer, and your host. Thank you for being here. Welcome back, folks, for another monthly Akashic Forecast. We're going to be tuning in to July today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your time and energy with me, for taking the time to invest in yourself, because it truly does benefit everyone around you. Everyone that comes into contact with you, every little thing that you do for yourself, the time that you make, the time that you put into. It's important. So it's so random to me that June is over, basically. Like, what the heck? I feel like June flew by in a blink of an eye, and I feel like I say that every month. So we'll just, throw another one in there. But June for me legitimately flew. It was like one moment I looked up and the next minute it was done. And that could be because I launched the Confidence series, which is an Akashic healing journey. It has just been phenomenal. I have 11 beautiful souls in my group, and they are just blown away by the material. We're all blown away by the material. This is a channeled course that came to me back in May, and to see this coming to life every week has just been phenomenal. I'm so grateful, thankful, honored, all of the things to be guiding it, be a part of it, watching it unfold. It's just, it's incredible. So diving into this month, I wanted to take a moment on the front end to just really kind of talk to you about stepping into the second part of this year. I feel like I mentioned it on this podcast potentially last week, but it may have been on my YouTube channel. I'm not sure. But the first part of this year, wild enough, was the easiest part of this year. We are stepping into a lot of intensity in the second part of this year, and things are just getting ramped up. And I just really want to encourage you and welcome you and invite you to build that foundation, that spiritual practice that the Akashic Records have been telling us to build since the middle of last year. I remember when it first started coming in, and I think for me, I started feeling that back in even 2020, right even in the midst of March when we first went into lockdown. It was like, whoa, I have really got to take care of myself so that I can maintain through this. And, I did the best I could. The past 2 years have been what they were, and I'm just thankful to be in this year because, they were tough. Really, really, really tough for me. 2021, I believe, was my hardest year yet. So, even in the midst of a lot of hard things this year, it's like, you ain't got nothing on 2021. But that, of course, is primarily in my own personal world, right? I'm definitely not talking about what is happening around us at this time. It is a lot. It is a whole lot. And, if you were someone who was absolutely devastated by Roe v. Wade, and or if this is something that really shook you, I highly recommend checking out. I released just a bonus episode this past Friday. It's very short. I think it's like 5 minutes. And it's just a message that came through that needed to be shared about the higher purpose of what is happening with Roe v. Wade. And I'm not going to get into that here, but I highly recommend checking it out. this is really a huge time for us and a big shift. And, it's not just that Roe v. Wade happened. I mean, it's everything, right? We look out on the landscape of our planetary happenings, and it's just like, freaking forget it, man. Like, I don't know about you, but on very tired days when I am not fully in myself, I just want to, call a F it on the situation and crawl back into bed with a book and just be in that world, But that is not what we can do, at least not all the time. Sometimes doing that, I think, is what we need to do for ourselves, right? And whatever way you need to honor yourself. But we're heading into a lot, and I don't share this with you to scare you at all. My intention always with talking about anything that might be triggering, might be upsetting, is simply to empower you. And again, that's why I come back to, this is such a huge time to really build a solid spiritual practice for yourself, to build that foundation, that place where you can come back to center, come back to home, to the wisdom that is within, to all that you are, to that peace that is within. Because sometimes, like, everything else can be falling down around us. But if we have the ability to access that peace within, then we're going to be just fine. We're going to get through it. We're going to even be able to enjoy our life through it. We're going to be able to build our dreams. We're going to be able to raise families and, you know what I mean? Do all sorts of incredible things. Just because the world around us is falling apart doesn't mean that we have to. And in fact, I believe that if you are on the planet at this time, it's for a purpose, it's for a reason. And you are meant to not fall apart. You are meant to be here in whatever way is best aligned for you. And, we're all in different seasons in our life. We all have different resources, different options available to us. So, if you are a new mom, then showing up and being the best new mom that you can be is like everything, right? If you are the leader of a corporation or have a public platform, then like, boom, But as we say on this podcast, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. And that is of utmost importance right now. We all need to show up in the way that we're meant to show up. This is definitely not adding pressure or adding things to your plate by any means. If anything, I wish to alleviate that weight from you. If you are called to protest, protest. But if that is not where you're at in this moment, that is okay. Your protest can be taking good care of yourself so that you can show up. And this all comes back to spiritual practice. We can really throw this word spiritual out and really make it this big, huge thing. Oftentimes it can be associated with religion, but that is the opposite of what I mean. To me, spirituality is coming back to home, center the God that is within us all. And every single one of us has that entryway, that connection, every single one of us. But we do have to cultivate it. We do have to put time and effort into it. Building a spiritual practice is enormous. And this can look so many different ways for you, right? I had a client this past week. She came for an Akashic reading and she was actually like, so I know I need to be taking care of myself better, but like, what are some of the things that I can do? And, some of the things that the guide shared with her specifically was like, go to a park, journal, cook, and she was like, oh my gosh, I can do these things, right? Like, I didn't want you to tell me to go meditate because that's hard for me. And I didn't want you to tell me these other things, right? But I can do these things. And that's the point. A spiritual practice looks different for all of us. Yes, it might be meditating. Maybe it's a walk outside. Maybe it is calling up your best friend and getting caught up. Whatever the case it may be, it's about coming back to center. It's about figuring out how you can find peace and find your reconnection to self in the midst of so much that's happening. And right now it is vital. I've talked about this a little bit, but it's not like you're not going to be able to do this at any point in time. But the shakier that our ground becomes, the harder it will be to build a solid foundation upon it. And that's why let's do it. Let's knock it out. Let's make it a priority, and do something that aligns for you, right? Start with just a few minutes a day if you have to. Whatever it may be, do what's right for you. Because I can tell you, we're moving into July. So much, again, is coming this year. And because of the work that I do and the amount of time that I'm in spiritual connection, I have a firm grasp on what is coming our way. And I've really been activated lately. And you may have been activated in your own life, feeling this call to really stand up, really step out, really begin the service that you are here to provide. And that is very much me. My past few years of trial and darkness and transformation are what is enabling me now to begin showing up the way that I fully need to. And I'll share some news with you here in just a moment. You might already be aware, but this is going to be in such new ways moving forward. And I'm so excited. So excited. My spiritual team has just been overly active. I was literally in the shower last week listening to a podcast. And in the midst of listening to this podcast, I had 3 different courses channeled through. And I was just like, what the heck? And then I got out of the shower and felt the need to run to my computer. And I wrote this gorgeous, gorgeous poem. Now, I used to be one of these, the folks at the open mic night, sharing my poetry. I've always loved poetry. But it has been years since I wrote a poem. And I was just like, oh my gosh, there's so much creative energy available to us right now. And if you feel called to create something, do it, no matter what it is, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense. The fact that I actually was able to bring the Confidence series into fruition is a beautiful example of me just following where I felt divinely led. And that was not easy for me, right? I pretty much turned that around within a month and launched it. I didn't do all the marketing things I normally do. I didn't do try to promote it all the ways I wanted to. I knew that I needed to do what I could do and that the universe would take care of the rest, right? And in the midst of your creation, in the midst of you taking action right now, we just had a new moon yesterday, the most beautiful new moon of the year, and we're still in that energy. So write down the things that you want to create. Write down the things you want to bring into your life, okay? So before we kind of dive into the Akashic part of this, I have a couple of announcements with you. Like I mentioned, be sure to check out the Roe v. Wade bonus episode. It's 5 minutes if that is something you want to listen to. I think the message is enormously important. And I've had so much feedback from people who are like, thank you. This gave me hope and helped me to see things from a higher perspective, because that's really what it's about. Number 2, tickets are going fast for the Access the Akashic Records workshop, and that is taking place on July 13th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You do not need to be live. All the replay and materials and everything will be sent out the following day. However, again, tickets are limited. This is an interactive workshop. It's an incredible workshop. And if you are looking for ways to empower yourself, to be connected spiritually at this time, if the Akasha has called to you, this is a great way, a beautiful introduction, and you will walk away with everything you need to begin a personal practice, in addition to access to a private community where you can get extra support if you need that. In that, also right now for a limited time, 10% off my Akashic soul readings. The work I've been doing with clients is super powerful right now. I think it's a mix of the energy. I think it's the intention that my clients are bringing to their sessions. And, the records always show up full force. They're just so powerful. But if you are really needing to find clarification in your life, if you're feeling lost, if you are really scared about the future, if a lot of relationship stuff is coming up for you, if you're confused about your life purpose or what it is that you want to do, so many ways to utilize the records. And so highly recommend checking that out. Of course, all of the links for everything will be in the show notes, but you can use code SUMMERTIME to get that 10% off. And then finally, I'm so excited to announce my monthly Akashic spiritual toolkits. So these are going to be a supportive Akashic resource that are created in conjunction with the monthly forecast. You'll be able to revisit the content in them throughout the month, and it will help to bring you back to center, back to your beautiful self. Everything is going to be channeled. So in these little packs, you'll be receiving a recording of the monthly reading by itself without all my jibber jabber. You will be receiving a beautiful workbook that will be full of information that can help you, support you, resources, tools, journaling prompts. Again, it's going to be channeled, so I have no idea what they will want me to put in the workbook each month. And then an activation to just really connect with, solidify, ground into the energy that we're going to be needing each month. It will also help to clear anything out that isn't serving us. And yeah, they're just going to be very, very powerful. I have been creating these gorgeous activations in the midst of the Confidence series. They love them. This is something I've been wanting to do for months and months and months and months, but the pieces haven't been together until now. So keep a lookout for that. That will always be released within 7 days of when the monthly forecast episodes go live. So just will kind of depend, but I will be sharing links. Make sure you're on the newsletter so you always get first dibs on that. But yeah, look out for them. And they're just going to be a few bucks. So nothing, no huge investment, super affordable way to support you. You support me. We create this beautiful circle. Okay, so let's dive in to the Akashic portion here in this intro. First of all, June, right? Let's just take a minute to revisit June. I'd be curious to hear how your June was, if it flew by as fast for you, if there was a ton going on, if the energy really picked up, if things really started opening up for you. I know in the midst of speaking with some of my friends who are also practitioners, they've just been blown wide open. And I'm like, same. It's been an amazing, amazing month. And the theme for June was you can be reborn. And again, I'm curious to hear how this came to life for you and in your life. Did you start something new? Did you heal something? Did you meet someone? I don't know. How were you reborn in your life? For me, as I mentioned, I have been so activated this month in just a number of ways. And one of the most beautiful examples I can share with you is the rebranding for my personal brand and this podcast, which hopefully you have seen now. If not, you'll definitely be seeing it, or still making a few tweaks and things like that. But it is just, it is finally representative of who I am and what this podcast is about. You know, when I first created this podcast back in 2020, I didn't know if I was going to love this, enjoy this, want to keep doing this, be committed to this. So I didn't put a lot of time and effort into creating the look and the feel for this podcast, like the branding of it. And I finally, and that's just kind of where I was at the moment. And then over the past couple of years, I mean, like the colors and everything, I look at it now in comparison to this new, beautiful, gorgeous brand. And I'm just like, whoa, what it represents to me is what I have been going through over the past couple of years. Like navy blue wasn't even a color I've ever liked. And the fact that I utilized it for my podcast just kind of blows my mind. But and it's something I've wanted to upgrade for like a year now, no joke. But it hasn't been right. It hasn't been right. It hasn't felt right. The timing hasn't been there, all of those things. And this month, boom. Like last week, I got really crafty with taking some photos of myself because, oh Lord, all my photos old, the other ones that I've been using. And I'm just not someone who takes many photos of myself, and I don't like, yeah. So anyway, I had so much fun with this little like black and white photo shoot, mostly black and white, that I did with myself. And then Friday night, after my last client, I was like, I had already kind of started working and playing around with some designs. And I was like, I'm going to see what happens. Like, I just want to have some fun. And I poured myself a glass of wine. I turned the music way up and I dove in, and holy crap. I mean, I originally just kind of wanted, again, to play around with just some designs. But when I walked away from my computer that night, not only had I created the new brand for my podcast, but my personal brand, and updated my website. It was so fun how it all came together. And like I mentioned, it's still coming together, but like, this is such a beautiful example, I think, of what can happen when we're in alignment with the energy. And so again, I'm curious to hear how you were reborn this month. Okay, so Akashic Records. If you are not familiar with the Akashic Records, if this is your first time joining, welcome, welcome, welcome. What is up? I highly recommend checking out episode 41, all about the Akashic Records, more about my own relationship with them, where they came from. Suffice it to say that the Akashic Records are energy that exists in a high dimension. And when I access the Akashic Records, I can access information from any past, present, or future timeline. And when I go into the Akashic Records for this podcast, I'm actually opening up the records for the listeners of the Soul Driven podcast. So whether you are a first-time listener or you've been here, doesn't matter, this is for you. And also, time is like not really a thing outside of this planet. So whether you hear this the day it goes live or freaking 10 years from now, there's something here for you. I go into the Akashic Records every month to really channel through a message, a forecast message about the energy that we are getting ready to step into. So make sure to listen to the message and then swing back around on the other side, hang out with me. I'll be kind of diving into the message more, talking about how we can integrate it, potentially breaking down its interpretation for you, and also a bit of astrology. So my recommendation for really taking in this beautiful, beautiful reading, which it is gorgeous this month, get some headphones, find a quiet place, just really connect in with yourself. Don't feel the need to latch on to every word that comes through, because when you listen to someone who's channeling, with whom you resonate, it also begins to open up your third eye, and you begin also receiving messages in conjunction with what it is that you're hearing. So just allow it to wash over you. And when it's over, jot down a couple of things that really stuck out to you. And of course, come back to it throughout the month, at least once a week, so that you can reground yourself in the energy of the Akasha. All right, so go ahead, get ready, and I will see you on the other side. Raining forward, yes, oh my, here it comes. Here it comes with a clash and a bang, with a force like you never saw before. Yes, it's coming quick, it's moving fast. And we know that this might not seem likely to you, as June is certainly ending on a softer note. But as you're heading into July, it's picking up speed. It's going faster and faster as you are plunging forth into the rest of the year, into the fire that stands ready and waiting, engulfing. Knowledge springs forth. It comes to the surface now as eyes are widening, opening. Abrupt translations of how things used to be, leading into what you are now walking into. Yes, at times it doesn't make sense. We know this to be true. But you must hold on. You must slide and dip into what is coming forward for you, into what is surrounding you, into what is opening up for you. Sides and shackles, boundaries, they seem to be closing in now. Yes, they are coming faster. And at times you cannot breathe. At times it feels as if there is something stuck in your throat and you cannot speak clearly, cannot use your voice the way you would like to. Know that this will be changing in the coming times, but for now, you feel all stopped up. Yes, it's icky. It feels wet and sticky. You dislike it. But that is because the sky is opening and it is raining down upon you. We mean this in a literal sense, and yet not at all. Primarily, the energy is shifting and taking with it those who have not been showing their true selves. Yes, you're beginning to see things slide through the cracks, falling deep down into the ground before they are thrown back up for everyone to view, to see the truth of what it is that you have been walking along and past your entire lives. The ideas of who you thought you were, who you thought the world to be, what it all is coming tumbling down step by step. Yes, it is breaking, falling faster, as we said before, raining down upon you. You know not what it is that is happening, but still you stand palms outstretched, waiting to gain that understanding, that wisdom that wishes to spring forth. But you must open your heart. You must look and see. You must give it time and space. You must sit with it and listen to what it is, what it has to say. Do you know that within you lies a wellspring of life and peace, of hope, renewal? These are things that you should be tapping into at this time. For as we've said before, this time is not for the weary of heart. Yes, it pulls out so much from you, and fear comes slamming you in the face. not because we wish it to, simply because this is the cycle of death that the planet must be going through at this time. And let us tell you, friends, this is only beginning. You are wading in about ankle deep. There is still so much more to come. Yet fertile ground stands beneath you. There you can grow and cultivate all that you will need for the time ahead. But you must connect with yourself. You must be able to find shelter from the tyranny, the breakdown, the ever-pervading sadness that your souls are feeling at this time. Know that it will not last forever, for nothing lasts forever. This is only a moment, a blip in the grand scheme of things. But here in the month ahead, it will swirl around you. It will feel like suffocation at times. And then you will be drenched by all that pours down, washes away. Allow yourself to be cleansed in this process. Allow yourself to lose the weight that you've been carrying for so long. Continue to shake out the old bedspreads, the things that do not serve, making space and room for the energy to flow so that it does not get caught and stuck to you, but continues on its way. Friends, we must tell you that protection is of utmost importance. Feeding into the lifeblood, feeding into the heart within. Here lies all wisdom. Here is the path forward. Do not lose heart in these moments. Do not allow yourselves to give up hope. Know that all is happening as it must. And while these things do not seem clear, it is simply because there is so much happening, which is simply further reason for you to find that space within. Connect with yourself. Abide by what comes forward. And step past what does not seem meant for you. All right, just coming back now. Just go ahead and take your time. I try not to jump in too loud. I like listening to readings and getting lost in them, but that is just me. So, integration, interpretation. I'm very curious to hear how this reading resonated with you. For me, it's one of my favorite for a couple of months. I don't know. I loved this reading, and I channeled it through like over a week ago. And so when I revisited it again this morning before recording this, I just felt activated throughout. everything that it spoke about, the awakening of our planet, the knowledge that is getting ready to start coming through for us, the reconnection with self, it just, all of it. Yes, 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 yes. And what was really wild for me was seeing how, because I had recorded the intro separately and not in connection with doing the reading, and I had completely forgotten about the reading, and yet my intro message and what I really shared with you in that is honestly so much of what I would have shared with you on this back end of this recording. Connecting with ourselves is so vitally important for us right now to have that solid foundation to stand upon so that we can ride the waves, ride the storms, ride the things that are going to be happening all around us. And in that, I really want to encourage you as well to really start taking note of the things around you that are taking your energy, that are lowering your energy, that are not feeding you, truly nurturing you at this time, because this is not a time for us to be going about being ultra busy, even though, I don't know about you, but the energy has really been pushing me in that direction. Like, I think that's part of why I have not been sleeping, is because I've felt so activated and had so many, channelings and ideas and things coming through, and they're so exciting. And then like I get quiet at night and freaking forget it. I can't rest. And just getting through the day can be really difficult because there is that push to go, go, go. And again, this is my personal experience. I don't know if this is you, but it's been really difficult to honor myself. It's really been difficult to give myself the kind of self-care, especially, when we aren't sleeping, when I don't sleep, I should say. Just keep that focus on me. When I don't sleep, it's hard for me to take care of myself properly throughout the day. And if I'm not properly taking care of myself, then how the heck am I going to be able to keep my foundation strong and make sure that I keep showing up the way I need to show up? We all have to do this in our own way and for our own, our own world. But this is just so vitally important. And even the astrology for July really talks about things kicking off very intensely in the beginning of July. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more effects this month from the war in Ukraine, from supply chains, there's a number of things I think are really going to start coming into view. And that's why we really need to strengthen ourselves, take care of ourselves, build that beautiful spiritual practice. And if you are completely unsure of how to do this, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I can send you resources. I can help you in a number of different ways. So please do not hesitate. That is why I am here. But, the energy is shifting this month. And as they say, we're stepping into a whole lot, and it's not going to feel easy. And one of the most powerful practices that I started doing on the weekly forecast that I was providing on YouTube, which, dang it, I forgot about that. Last week was the last one, but not to worry. I'm going to be showing up and sharing mini videos on different topics. It's, just being called in a different way. But bottom line is to really place hand on heart and just do this with me now if you can. Obviously, if you're driving, please don't do this because you'll really feel your consciousness from your mind, that really active place, come down into your body, to your heart. And just sitting quietly like this is so powerful in these times. Feel into the heart, ask what is there, what it wants to share with you, what you need to know. Our hearts have all of the wisdom. Everything that we could ever need to know is within ourselves. We don't have to run around to our friends and get things. And if you've been around, I've said this so many times, right? But the heart, as they mentioned in this reading, lies the wellspring of life, peace, hope, renewal. If you are exhausted, if you are grieving, if you are angry, come to your heart. Connect with heart. See what is here for you. See what it has to share with you. Work with your heart. Learn to. Because like they say, let us tell you, friends, this is only the beginning. And what was interesting is, so when I did the yearly Akashic reading, so for 2020, they said 2020 was the shakeup. 2021 was just the beginning, and we're only halfway through 2022. And they say we're wading in about ankle deep at this point, which makes complete sense. There is so much more to come, so much more that needs to be broken down, needs to be broken down. And in that, it's going to be a lot. So we have to connect with ourselves. We have to connect with ourselves. And I just want to encourage you in this month ahead to really start thinking about ways in which you can take care of yourself. And I'm right there with you in this, by the way. Right there with you. And the last thing that I just want to say is, as they mentioned, do not lose heart in these times, okay? Don't give up hope. It's totally okay to have a day where you just lose it, fall apart. If things are really difficult in your life right now and things are falling apart, give yourself that space and room to acknowledge your feelings, acknowledge where it is that you're at, but don't lose heart. Because I promise you with every ounce of me, this is all leading to a better place, to a higher purpose for our benefit. I promise you. But we do have a lot to go through. And so it is really time to make this a priority. Connect with yourself. So I'm not going to do an astrology summary this month. Honestly, I'm just exhausted. I think I may have already said this. I'm not sure. Thank you for being patient with me. But yeah, I'm just sending you the biggest love. Be sure to look out for the spiritual toolkits, the monthly spiritual toolkits. Those will be coming out in the next 7 days. So excited to share this with you. So excited to see, how they resonate with you. All the things. I've got so many ideas. So, but thankfully, again, I'll be working with the records in this. So I don't have to do it all. Okay. So much love. So much love. You got this. We can do this. I'm with you. Have a wonderful, wonderful month ahead.